Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, receives hundreds of thousands of dollars every year from Listerine. But why? Fisk University, along with hundreds of royalty holders, receives payments from Listerine thanks to a 19th-century contract. The inventor of Listerine was Joseph Joshua Lawrence, a doctor who fought in the Civil War. In the late 1860s, Lawrence created a formula to disinfect wounds. It didn't catch on. A local pharmacist named Jordan Wheat Lambert asked to buy the formula, so Lawrence licensed it out. The original contract was written on a napkin and stated that for every 144 bottles of Listerine sold, Lambert would pay Lawrence's heirs $6. Lawrence didn't think it would be a big deal because the product wasn't generating much buzz on the market. That would soon change. When Lambert died in 1889, Lambert's son took the company over, and instead of just pitching Listerine as an antiseptic, he decided to emphasize its ability to remove mouth odors. The contract that Lawrence and Lambert signed had one major flaw. There was no end date to the royalty payments. Neither man could have imagined that 140 years later, the mouthwash would become a household staple and be worth more than $500 million. In 1906, Lawrence's only heir, his 15-year-old granddaughter Vera, ran away to marry Russell Hopkins, the scion of a wealthy banking family who constructed a private zoo on his 88-acre estate in Westchester, New York. When J.J. Lawrence died in 1909, Vera Hopkins became the direct inheritor of the Listerine Royalties. 5 years later, Listerine became the first OTC mouthwash in the country, and sales exploded. From 1909-1928, the Hopkins family received over $4 million in royalties from Listerine. Those revenues ballooned as sales increased to $187 from 1925 to 1950. When Vera and Russell died, their 4 children divided the royalties up. Their oldest son, John Randolph Hopkins, took the largest share. The only issue is John Randolph had expensive tastes. John Randolph was known as a playboy and owned multiple yachts and even a private island off the coast of Palm Beach. This royalty-funded lifestyle wouldn't last. In 1950, Hopkins sold his 50% stake in the Listerine Royalty Trust to a real estate mogul named John J. Reynolds for $4 million and began his downward spiral. That same year, he was indicted for tax fraud and a decade later had lost all his money and was admitted into a mental hospital. When he pleaded guilty to fraud in 1960, newspapers reported he was living in a filthy shack in New Mexico. Reynolds, who'd bought the stake off Hopkins, sold it to the Catholic Archdiocese of New York. The church held a 50% stake in the Listerine Royalty Trust for nearly 2 decades, earning $13 million in less than 16 years. In 1966, the Archdiocese sold off its share to an assortment of pension funds, colleges, and hospitals, including Wellesley College, the American Bible Society, the Salvation Army, the Rockefeller Foundation, and the Bell Telephone Company. In 1959, the owner of Listerine, Warner Lambert, sued to terminate the royalty contract. But in a landmark case that's still taught in law schools today, a New York court sided with the royalty owners. Today, the group of Listerine holders include former NJ Governor Chris Christie, who earned $24 from Listerine in 2015, Fisk University, who made $121.7K in 2016. The Diocese of Rockville Center valued its Listerine holdings at $4.4 million. A nonprofit named after the creator of Lifesavers, Edward John Noble Foundation, reported $249.2K in Listerine profits in 2019. Musicians Emergency Fund, a group that provides financial support to musicians, owns a stake valued at $270K. The Henry Luce Foundation, named for the founder of Life and Time, owns $1.8 million worth of Listerine royalties and hundreds more. In 2014, Listerine paid out $23,637,782 to royalty holders. The Listerine case is important for a few reasons. It shows there is nothing illegal about a perpetual royalty, even though most have a built-in expiration date. Patents automatically expire after 20 years. However, Listerine's formula was a trade secret, and trade secrets can have a perpetual royalty or contract.